Hey there, this is Clay, and today I want to talk about the difference between hearing something and the difference between really getting it and really letting it sink in to you so that you can actually really get it, so it can click and that you can have that big shift that could change everything. And this is really coming from some experiences that Mika and I have had with some of y'all where we'll talk about some of our mindset things that to work on during active no contact. One of the principles that we talk about is called acceptance, and sometimes we'll get a message that says something like, "Yeah, I totally get that I should be emotionally okay with whatever happens, but how do I make her feel this way about me?" And the key word there is but. Because when you use the word but, what it does is it completely negates the previous thing that you said. And when you use that, when you say that, when it says, I get that you need me to do this in order to get this result, but I want this to happen. What you're basically saying is, yeah, I don't get anything that you just said. I want this to happen. I want you to tell me how to make her want me, or something like that. And what that tells me is that you've heard a lot. You've heard what we said, but it hasn't sunk in. It's a very shallow understanding of what we talk about, of what we're advising you to do. And in order to have the results that you really want, you need to have that deeper understanding of it. You need to really understand it at a much deeper level. You have to practice it. It's the difference between understanding something theoretically and practicing that thing. It's the difference between knowing in theory how to build a table as a carpenter or something like that, versus actually getting some lumber, getting some wood, and cutting it up on a table saw and hammering the nails and all that stuff. It's the difference between actually doing it and just theoretically understanding it as a mental concept out there. And you have to be able to look deeper. You can't just listen to things and theoretically understand them and expect anything to change. That's just like gathering information. That's just hoarding information that you really aren't going to use. And that's what I hear when I hear people say, I understand you tell me to do blah 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 blah, but how do I do this? That seriously, that the concept of acceptance tells you how to have a better connection with someone, tells you how to be emotionally okay with whatever they do, how to create that space that welcomes them into your life so that you can have that shot of rebuilding that relationship, of recreating the connection the two of you had. And when you say, I understand that, but how do I do it? We give you how to do it. We tell you how to do it. We give you exercises on how to do it. What I'd recommend is that you actually go out and do those exercises, that you do them. You don't just say, okay, yeah, I get this on a theoretical level. It makes sense intellectually to me, therefore I don't have to do the exercises, therefore I'm ready for the next thing. No, you're not ready for the next thing. What you need to do is actually get out there and do the exercise. You need to actually sit down and build the table. It's not enough to read a book on how to build a table and be like, okay, I know everything there is to know about building tables. You have to sit there and understand how the pieces of wood fit together. There's an entire art form to joinery, the different ways that different pieces of wood can fit together. There are ways that you can make it so that there's absolutely no apparent seam, that it's such a smooth joint that the two pieces of wood fit so seamlessly together that if you just close your eyes and run your fingers on it, you can't even tell they're two separate pieces of wood. And you cannot learn how to do that by just reading a book. You have to actually sit down and do it. You have to practice it. You have to practice it every single day. There's a certain saying in Buddhism, I'm not going to be able to say this verbatim, but it's like, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And it says that your life isn't going to really be this miraculous transformation. Enlightenment is just going to recreate the context of how you live your life. You're still going to have to actually practice the same things that you do. You're still going to have to practice your own life. It's not like enlightenment is this sort of conceptual holy grail, and suddenly you're going to evolve onto this other plane of being where you can drink ambrosia and all that, whatever, I don't know. You're still going to live in the same world. And in a lot of ways, it's still the same way with what we teach. You're still going to be in the same situation that you're in now. It's just your concept of it is going to be different because of the practices that we give you. And you can't just understand that on a theoretical level. You have to actually live it. You have to actually be out there chopping wood and carrying water. And you have to really be the change. Like I said in I think it was the previous video from yesterday. You have to just go out there and really demonstrate that you have changed, that you are a different person through your deeds and actions. You have to do that. You have to sit in there and do the exercise. You have to build the table. You can't just understand it on a theoretical, conceptual level. That's what it tells me when you say, but. That's when it tells me when I tell you how to do something and you say, yeah, I get that, but. So what I really want you to do is to go out there and practice. Practice the exercises, put in the time, and do it. Chop wood and carry water. And before you know it, you'll start to see those changes in yourself and how you experience the world and how you relate to other people. And suddenly it'll change the context of everything. And you can keep doing those practices, and you should keep doing those practices because they'll make you a better person to interact with, to relate to in the terms of acceptance. Also with the other mindset pillars as well. But here I'm just talking specifically about acceptance because that's kind of our example case study thing for this. But just go ahead and keep doing that, and it will start to make you into a more emotionally available person where you don't have to be like, okay, yeah, man, what are the secret hacks to force someone against their will into falling in love with me? I mean, you don't need to know that if you have acceptance nailed down solid. You're just kind of that natural person that wherever you go, people just like you, and you don't even have to try. You don't even have to try. It's just part of who you are. It's just built into your aura, your personality, your energy level. It's not like you're like, all right, man, now I'm going to do the secret October man sequence and it's going to melt your panties off in 10 seconds. Watch this. Here we go. Abracadabra. It's not like that. It's not something you have to consciously go out of your way to do. You have to practice every day becoming the kind of person that you want to be so that you can just step into that and be that person all the time. It's not like you have to be on or off. It's not like you have to, get ready to do the secret dark arts of seduction or anything like that. It's just part of who you are. You can be a naturally loving person. You can be a naturally seductive person. You can be a naturally charming person. You can be a naturally attractive person as long as you practice those things on a daily basis. And what I would suggest doing in your situation is start by practicing the exercises that we lay out inside of our program. That's a great place to start. And then from there you can build onto that with whatever kind of personality you want to reinvent yourself as. So I hope this makes sense. And if you want to get started on this, if you want to get started really building the table, not just reading books about it, head on over to relationshipinnergame.com and sign up there. Thanks.